I know you want me, Alistair. I know it's okay. Alan and me are through, forever.
On December 2015, Sian Blake and her two sons, Zachary and Amon, went missing. The outcome was tragic, leaving Syan Blake's family devastated by the brutal death of their loved ones. Two questions: who killed them and why? Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about real crimes and real people. This is the murder of British actress Sian Blake and her two sons. Want to know what happened? Let's get started. Sian Samantha Blake was born in September 1972 in Walthampton, London, England. Sian had three siblings. Her parents divorced when she was just 6 years old. Her father, who was from Jamaica, died of a heart attack when she was just 18. Sian attended Guildford School of Acting. Her stage name was Syan Blake. Her first role wasn't something fancy, but it was something. In 1994, she appeared on the British TV show Casualty. Sian auditioned for a minor role for the show Eastenders. The producers liked her, so they encouraged her to audition for the role of Frank Perry, a long-term character. She played that role from 1996 to 1997. Sian left the series after she received hate mail from viewers who were incapable of differentiate real life from fiction. Her character had an affair with a male character, and that affair ended the male character's on-screen marriage. Sian had other minor roles on television. She also appeared and directed several theater productions, and then she retired from acting. She became a sign language teacher and interpreter. Sian lived in Erith, London with her partner Arthur Simpson Kent. She met Arthur through her work. They split and Arthur went to live in France. He returned in 2005. They rekindled their relationship and moved in together. Sian, who was described as vibrant, was the main breadwinner of the family. She and Arthur had two boys, Zachary and Amon, and Sian loved her boys. Both boys were homeschooled, something Sian intended to change later on due to her declining health. In September 2013, Sian started to experience neurological symptoms. 2 years later, on December 11, 2015, Syan Blake was diagnosed with a motor neuron disease. She was prescribed medication to slow down the progression of the disease, but her condition was advanced. She was very weak and could hardly do any movement with her hands. She walked slowly and unsteady, although she did it without help. Sian was depressed and distressed when she found out about the diagnosis, but still she continued her work and kept interest in property she owned with her sister, which they rented. Sian also planned to enroll Zachary and Amon in school in Greenwich from April 2016 due to her declining health, and for that same reason, in December 2015, Sian asked her mother if she could move in with the boys and also Arthur, but Sian's mother declined Arthur moving in. Arthur was controlling and abusive. Sian accepted her mother's decision regarding Arthur, and that's the last day Sian and the boys were seen by the family. But Sian had made a decision. She was going to leave Arthur and the unhealthy relationship. On December 16th, Sian's sister received a text from Sian saying she was taking time away with the children and wouldn't be calling or speaking to anyone for a few months. A family member reported Sian Blake and her children missing to the Metropolitan Police. On that afternoon, the police visited Arthur. He was uncooperative. He let them into the house and told the police Sian was tired of the tensions between the family and Arthur, so she decided to visit a friend in Cambridge. 3 days later, he was nowhere to be found. On January 3rd, 2016, Syan's car was found in Bethnal Green with no signs of the three missing individuals. On January 5th, 2016, police searched Syan's home and discovered three bodies in the garden, one woman and two young boys. Each body had been wrapped in plastic material and sheeting. There were concrete slabs on top of them also. And then soil. The woman's body was naked and in a fetal position. The two boys were also naked. On January 7th, IDs were confirmed. The bodies belonged to Sian Blake, Zachary, and Amon. Autopsy results showed Syan's cause of death was head and neck injuries. She was beaten repeatedly. There was evidence of blunt force trauma. Her skull was fractured. She was also stabbed. There were no classic defense wounds, but there were bruises which suggest she struggled. Zachary was also brutally beaten. There were skull fractures and brain damage. He had his throat cut and also a stab to the chest. All of these stabs were post-mortem. He also struggled. Amon's cause of death was head injury. His skull was fractured. There was contusion to the brain. He was stabbed to the back of the neck, and he also struggled. Searches at the house showed blood staining in several rooms not visible to the naked eye. They actually used luminol. There were signs of paint over the blood, which had been painted with a roller. The murder weapon wasn't found. Evidence showed the killer killed the victims in turn, first Syan, then each boy. Neither Syan or the boys were able to defend themselves. Syan's declining motion skills would have made her the perfect target for this horrific crime. The police searched for Arthur Simpson Kent relating to the murders. It was reported he had fled to Ghana. While in Ghana, Arthur was recognized, and he also told on himself, saying he had killed his girlfriend. He was interviewed by the police in Accra and told them he had killed Syan and the children in a murder-suicide pact because of Syan's terminal illness and his poor relationship with her family. January 9th, reports stated he had been arrested in Ghana. January 26, 2016, he appeared at an extradition hearing in Accra. He stated he would return voluntarily to the UK. Arthur Simpson Kent returned to the UK on February 12, 2016. He was arrested at Heathrow Airport. Arthur Simpson Kent was charged with the murder of Syan Blake and their children. On June 10th, he pled guilty to the charges. During a psychiatric interview, Arthur stated the plan was to kill Syan, the boys, then himself. He felt he was losing hope. He was depressed and angry with Syan's diagnosis and his hostile relationship with her family. He intended to kill himself, but his courage failed him. Describing how the murder occurred on the night of December 14, 2015, Arthur allegedly snapped. He grabbed a small axe from the kitchen. He attacked Syan as hard as he could. She fell unconscious, and then he hit her repeatedly on the head. He then went into the boys' rooms, who were asleep, and attacked them with the axe. He picked Amon and put him in Zachary's room. He brought Syan's body to the same room. He got a knife from the kitchen and he cut their throats to make sure they were dead. He planned to use the same knife to kill himself, but then he decided to return to Ghana and kill himself there, which never happened. The judge didn't believe Arthur's motive for the crime. Even though Syan was terminally ill and needed assistance, she still made plans for the future. Hence, the idea of murder-suicide would be a lie. The psychiatrist who was brought in by the defense team stated, "There were no evidence Arthur was depressed before or after the crime, and he didn't provide convincing explanation why he didn't kill himself. While in custody, he never showed evidence he was depressed or had suicidal thoughts." According to the psychiatrist, Arthur showed features which were consistent with a narcissistic personality disorder. Despite Arthur's version of the facts, the judge didn't believe his story. The judge believed the crime was premeditated. Arthur had made efforts to remove evidence from his crimes. He repainted the walls. On December 16, 2015, he removed all of the possessions of Syan and the boys. He made contact with a charity furniture shop on that day. He also burned items in the garden. He took Syan's mobile phone and sent a text pretending to be Syan, including the text he sent to Ava, Syan's sister. At the time of the text, Syan and the boys were already dead. Arthur lied to the police about the whereabouts of Syan and the boys. Taking all of this information into consideration, Arthur Simpson Kent was sentenced to life in prison with no parole.